So a lot of the guys watching this video may be Oregon fans. We recently dropped a video called "The Problem with the Oregon Ducks," which did excellent numbers. It's in the 2000s now. I think it's going to probably be the most viewed video on our channel. So shouts out to Oregon fans. I'm rooting for you guys this year. I've been rooting for you guys, and it's good to see you guys here. You're probably not used to this type of video because of the problem with, but this is like one of our regular podcast videos where we just kind of go over some topics and the flow of what's trending in sports, and we kind of give our thoughts on it and we speak on it. And sometimes fans may or may not agree with some things we say, and then sometimes fans do agree with things we say. And the one thing we want to be here at Sports Junkies is just we want to be an open podcast that really allows people to interact with the channel. That really just we want the comment section to be an open conversation for really anyone to just kind of come in and interact and spit some knowledge, whether they agree or disagree with it guys. Sometimes we get some trolls. Some guys come in the comments and they say, "Oh, you guys, you guys should quit," or "You guys don't need this podcast," or they just dislike the video without even really giving us a chance to really explain it. And sometimes I will admit we have made some pretty bad videos. I know we have that Texas video that was awful. I wouldn't recommend watching it. It's terrible, but it gets a lot of views and watch hours, so we got to keep it on the channel, sadly. But we do have some videos where I think we didn't really allow ourselves to be, fair with certain teams. And, it's great that I've been able to learn now what it takes to really tell a team like, hey, you're a good team, you're struggling, you're not where you want to be. This is how you get to where you want to be, without really kind of trashing and throwing the team away and not really giving them an opportunity and not really breaking it down and speaking on that team. But this whole opening statement, this really isn't just for Oregon fans. It's for really every new fan to the channel. I'm pretty sure that most of the subscribers we gained from the Oregon video will be Oregon fans. So just guys, be on the lookout for more content. I expect to be talking about Oregon a lot this year because I'm expecting some big things from them. There's a lot of teams I'm expecting some big things from, and when we officially launch the college football season in a couple weeks, I think the first week of August is what we're aiming for. We're gonna really just do like a quite long episode and just kind of talk about our whole outlook for the season and try to give some predictions, because we've been kind of good on the podcast so far with really just kind of predicting what we think is going to happen. Like if we have any NBA fans here, if you guys are listening to the NBA episodes, you have no idea how almost on point me and JT have been when it comes to predicting the playoffs and talking about players and saying certain things. And if you guys miss any episodes, we do post clips on the Instagram. So once again, guys, make sure you guys go check out the Instagram, Sports Junkies. Make sure you guys give us a follow. We're trying to get, we got 100 on YouTube, so I know we can get 100 on Instagram. We're at just over 50 right now. We're trying to get to that lucky number 100, just like we did on YouTube. 137 subscribers should have 137 followers. You know what I'm saying? That's a good place to be, I feel like. And the bigger we grow, the more voices we get, I think the more interactive the comment sections will get. And I can't wait till we finally reach a level where I feel like the podcast is doing so well to where we have our fans interacting with each other in the comments. And even some videos we post, we have a thick comment section, and everybody's just kind of giving input or saying how they feel, how they disagree, agree, arguing with other guys in the comments, arguing with us, and it's all good. We love when people disagree because it gives us something to talk about. If everybody just agreed on the same thing in sports, you wouldn't have good content. You wouldn't have First Take. You wouldn't have, any other sports podcast that was really good, because no one wants to just listen to a podcast where everybody just gets along and everybody's like, oh yeah, you say that? Oh, I agree. It reminds me of that meme where it's like Paul Pierce and Kendrick Perkins on ESPN Live, and he says something about a player, and he goes, Kendrick Perkins goes, yeah, I agree. And then there's just like this 10-second long pause, is awkward, and then they just have to cut to commercial. So it's always good to be honest, and if you disagree with something, then come forth and say you disagree, and that's the great thing about it. So with that being said, we did get a comment sadly 3 months ago. I replied to his comment and said we will take a look and we will do it, and I just have not done it, and it's been 3 months and he's probably forgotten. So if he's still subscribed and he's watching this video, Ty Scott, I want to thank you for your recommendation, and I'm sorry that this video took 3 months to make. The podcast has been getting really busy. We've been trying to work on a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and we got a lot of stuff coming for you guys, like new series, kind of like the problem with, and you know, obviously just some more podcast content. We got a guy coming back to the podcast in a few months to work on football, and it's gonna be really interesting. But Ty Scott commented and said, "Can you do Ole Miss next?" And this was on reference to the Kellen Mond video. And actually, when he replied to this, I was already working on Bama. So I was working on Bama and I think Oklahoma. So he was kind of in Clemson. So he was already behind, and I was gonna do Florida, but after seeing this comment, I was like, yeah, I gotta do my guy I gotta help my guy right here. So Ty Scott said, "Can you do Ole Miss next, please? Because I believe Ole Miss is going to upset Alabama at Tuscaloosa next year, and Lane Kiffin is building a national championship contender out of Ole Miss." Now that's a lot to take in. I read the comment, and look, I'm gonna be straightforward with you. I think he I'm not gonna say he's onto something, but I'm gonna say I'm not going to completely disagree with him. Now, however, I think Ole Miss is possibly they could be, at this point right now, I think Ole Miss could be the second best team in the SEC West behind the third best team in the SEC West behind Bama and Texas A&M. That's a hot take, okay? And let me explain why. Ole Miss took a huge leap forward last season with their offense, and I feel like they aren't really slowing down. Lane Kiffin went from Bama to FIU or something like that, and then he got his job offer in the SEC as a head coach with Ole Miss. And since he's gotten there, you know, we know Lane Kiffin as a guy who's dangerous with the offense. He's an offensive mastermind. The things he was doing at Bama, you know, excellent. Some of the things he was doing at FIU, excellent. And then he came to Ole Miss and just perfected his system. I mean, last season, it reminds me of before we get too deep in it. I was on the right track. Well, last season, I saw an Ole Miss team that was dangerous, and I think I seen a team that's really only going to get better from this point. They lost Elijah Moore, which is if you guys don't know, man, I've been praising Elijah Moore since the start. I remember when he was a 3-star wide receiver on the Rivals opening on YouTube, and I remember he was committed to Georgia, my team. I am a Georgia fan, and we let him go for a wide receiver named Tommy Bush, who is no longer on our team. And it was the most disappointing. I've never been so disappointed, but I was like, hey man, this Tommy Bush guy could be special. And he wasn't, because I don't think he caught a single pass over 3 years at Georgia. And Elijah Moore went on to be a straight monster at Ole Miss. And he's just a guy I watched grow from, you know, being pretty much no one, 3-star YouTube. I mean, he was kind of famous in the YouTube comment section. It was him and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Well, I watched both of them just kind of develop and become these great players. But Elijah Moore really transformed this offense. Matt Corral really transformed this offense. And let's be real here, okay? How good is Ole Miss's quarterback, Matt? I mean, when I look at Matt, I'm like, well, he's in the SEC, so we're not going to say, okay, well, he's not a good quarterback, because he's not playing against the top talent like we would say about like Trey Lance or who's another good example of a quarterback we wouldn't really take, Zach Wilson, right? But Matt's playing in the SEC and he's putting up big boy numbers. Now, is there room for improvement? Yes, there's always room for improvement with this team. They went 5-5 last season, 4-5 in the SEC, and that was with a strict SEC schedule. But like I said, Ty Scott said he feels like they could upset Bama. Now, he said he feels like they could upset Bama this season. Now, I don't want to discredit any Ole Miss fans. I don't want to be disrespectful or negative, but that's not going to happen. Don't get me wrong. They can easily score 49, 50 points on Bama, but I don't think they're in that right mindset yet to pull off an upset on Bama. Now, let me not be so negative, because it can happen. Now, Bryce Young, first year starting quarterback for Bama, and usually after Bama wins a title, they usually start this slow like rebuild, they usually win about one title every 4 years. You know, they'll have some off years. They're probably going to make the playoffs, but they don't ever usually win the title. You win the title once every 4 years. That's a good number for Nick Saban. It's good enough to, you know, show a recruit the trophy and be like, you want this? Come here. Doing better than Georgia. You know what I mean? But Ole Miss can definitely easily put up about 40 to 50 points on that Bama defense. Now, the question is how good will Ole Miss's defense be? Can they stop Bryce Young? Can they stop John Mechie III? Can they stop these offensive weapons we've seen Bama develop? Can their defensive line put pressure on Bryce Young and make him uncomfortable in the pocket? Bama's got that top O-line. They always have that top O-line in football. And Bama's team has now transformed from usually being based off of defense part offense to offense part defense. No one's really watching Bama for their defense anymore. We know their defense is bad. We know their defense can give up 30 points every game. That's not a problem. We don't care anymore because their offense is going to score 60 points. Okay? And if you're playing against Bama, you're talking about an upset. You got to be able to outscore this team. And I don't really see Ole Miss. I can see Ole Miss doing it. Don't get me wrong. They're one of the few teams in the league, I feel like, or in the SEC at least, that can do it. Maybe Georgia. I mean, we got some pieces that we've put together, and I think will come to light this season when we see Bama in the SEC championship, or hopefully if we beat Florida. But I think Ole Miss is going to be definitely Ole Miss and Georgia. When I look at the SEC, I really only see them being the teams that can actually take down this Alabama team. Now, not saying that Ole Miss will do it because, again, it's up in the air and it's a question, but I like Ole Miss's chances. I definitely wouldn't bet on it. I'm not going to dig too deep into it, and I probably won't even watch the game. But Ty Scott does have a point, because when I look at Bama, like I said, there's only two teams I feel like in the SEC that will be able to actually outscore this Bama team, because you're not going to stop their offense. It's not going to happen. Let's see how they play with Bryce Young before we ride them too hard, but I don't really think anyone's going to stop Bama's offense. They've become that dominant, and you got to think they're coming off a season with the highest rated recruiting class ever. So they're only going to get better and better and better and better and better. And don't get me wrong, Ole Miss is doing some good things too, but they're not doing Bama things. And Bama is going to continue to be, I think, kind of statues ahead of them. Let's see what Lane Kiffin continues to build. Let's see how Ole Miss comes out swinging this year, because I know they're way better than 5-5, 4-5 in the SEC. I know they're way better than that. So I want to see how they come out swinging next year. And that's gonna be one thing I feel like we need to keep our eye on. They had a big win against Indiana, and I think the big problem with Ole Miss is that straight SEC schedule. They didn't even play Texas A&M last year because the game was canceled. But I mean, every game they were putting up a good amount of points. But I think they can get better this season. I think they will do some things we didn't expect Ole Miss to do. Will they upset Bama? Who knows? Maybe, but I'm not going 100% in on that because I don't really think that. I don't think Bama is slowing down, and in order for Ole Miss to get ahead of Bama needs to be slowed down, and Bama's just really getting better and better. And don't get me wrong, Ole Miss is too. They're building a dangerous offense, but I don't see their defense really transforming. And I do like the way Lane Kiffin is building that offense, but then they lost some key pieces like Elijah Moore, and I want to see them get some guys to replace them. I want to see them get a running back to be a dominant threat in the SEC. I need them to have a wide receiver, a tight end. I want to see Matt put up Heisman numbers, because I really think he can win Heisman with the way Lane Kiffin runs that offense. I think he can he can win Heisman, but I really think he can actually be a top 5, top 3 player quarterback in the country when we talk about the system he's in and how he plays. So I mean, let's see how this Ole Miss team comes out swinging, and let's see what they're capable of. It's going to be interesting because their next season schedule, they're starting the season off against Louisville. They're going to be playing that game in Atlanta. Then they play Austin Peay. They play Tulane, and then they get a bye week, and that's when they play Bama. So they're going to be playing Bama as their 4th game, October 2nd. And when they come into that game, Ole Miss should be 3-0. Well, they will be 3-0 because they're not losing to Louisville. They're not losing to Austin Peay. and they're scoring 60 on Austin, and they're going to score 60 on Tulane as well. They're going to have that bye week, and they're going to have some rest, which is great. But then they got to go to Tuscaloosa. Sadly, I see them losing that game. They play Arkansas. Arkansas is another team that I feel like is getting good with Sam Pittman, a former Georgia O-line coach. And I like what I'm seeing from Arkansas. So that game's really up in the air for me, but I think Ole Miss will pull it out. I think Ole Miss's offense will be too good next season. And I don't even know who Arkansas's quarterback is. Is it still Felipe Franks, or is he gone by now? You know what I'm saying? So it's Tennessee is another team, but Tennessee is back to the bottom tier of the SEC. They had a crazy offseason. I see them winning that game. LSU, you never know, because LSU's building a great defense. But their offense, I feel like it's hit a stagnant, and they had some injuries last year. I will give them the benefit of the doubt, but it's going to be interesting. Auburn, you never know what you're going to get from Auburn. Bo Picks, in his third year. Liberty, Texas A&M. Texas A&M is going to be another good game. Ole Miss could realistically lose about 3 games next season. I think that'll be the most they will possibly lose. They shouldn't lose anything more than 3 games. Auburn, LSU, Arkansas, and Bama are 4 games I'm looking at. They need to win at least one of those games. And I think LSU and Auburn might be their best bets. I'm not saying they can't beat Arkansas, because I don't know how good Arkansas is going to be, but it's going to be really interesting to see this Arkansas and Ole Miss game. That might be a game I actually turn on. That's going to be a week after the Bama game, so they'll be coming off that upset. They'll be coming out straight off upsetting Bama in Tuscaloosa. Then they're going to smack Arkansas, dominate Tennessee. They're still going to be undefeated here. They're going to be 6-0. They're going to dominate LSU. Then they're going to dominate Auburn. Come on, man. Like I see Ole Miss doing some crazy thing. I'm trolling here, but just to wrap up the subject, man. I don't really see Ole Miss beating Bama next season, but I think we will eventually see them upset Bama, because I feel like they're building that great offense, and you really need to catch Bama on an off day, and that's not they only have about 2 of those a season. Even last year, they had 2 off days where they just start slow and they can't really get cooking in the first half. And that's when you need a team like Ole Miss, a team with a high-powered offense, to dominate from the first snap at least till halftime. Halftime, they need to be up 3 possessions. Second half, just keep scoring. Don't pull a Georgia, because we do that often. We dominate the first. We're always beating Bama at halftime, and then we come out after halftime and Nick Saban's he's in there drawing up the world. I don't know how to explain it, but he draws up plays that Georgia they can't pull it off. And it's so disappointing, because we've lost a national championship, we've lost an SEC championship, and we lost a regular season game because of BS like that. And I think that's something Kirby's got to work on. But Lane Kiffin, take notes from Georgia if you want to beat Bama. If you're winning at halftime, just avoid doing what Georgia does, choking. So it's going to be interesting. But they're in Mississippi. I don't think there's a Mississippi curse. So